So what makes good art as opposed to bad art? What's the magic sauce?
No.
Welcome back to the Wax Quill Podcast. Woohoo!
Show me some of the books you brought.
Okay. Heck yeah. All right.
Ready to go.
So this is one of the
Ooh,
books that we have.
that's beautiful. Those are
It's
owls with
gorgeous, huh?
eyes.
Yeah.
I
It's
love the blue and the red there.
yeah. It's like they're like gems, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So the artist is Sharon King Chai, but she does this thing where you have to find the little spiders.
Oh.
So there's little spiders on each kind of page.
Oh.
But I just love how she does, like here's the bat.
Mm.
The bat opens up.
Well, he's got like his wings almost look like leaves, like they have that texture.
Yeah, yeah, they have the texture in it. I don't know how well you can see this. It's
I
so hot.
can barely. It's beautiful.
But yeah. And I like how they're prints. Like they look like they're prints of things.
Oh.
There's the goat. And you can see their eyes. These really pretty little things. Like look at this mouse. I don't know what it's with this mouse.
Oh, it's cute. See, it's not even very detailed. You could just see the top of
No.
it, one leg, but you can
Yeah, and
definitely
it looks like it's done in like color pencil even. It looks color pencil-y. And then they're kind of just different. Everything is a little bit different.
mm,
Anyway, so I really like this. I like the colors and how she's kind of textured everything. You see little tadpoles.
lots of little tadpoles. See, and the very, very basic shapes, but the colors,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe it's just not very yellow. There's not a lot of yellow in there. There's a lot of blue, deep green.
Yes, you look at this spider and the little baby spiders, and you go throughout the books and you find the pages and you find the baby spiders. So so these two books, I had forgotten that they were actually by the same people.
Ah.
Now they did Audrey Wood and Dawn Wood. Okay. So Hackety Peg, right? And then the King Bedgood's in the bathtub, right?
Mm, yeah.
So I did show this to you once, didn't
Showed
I?
that to me a while ago. Yeah. Oh, that was so good. So much
But
detail.
but they're detailed and it's like they're more realistic but also exaggerated. And I love it so much.
It's like their faces
They're,
are realistic. I don't even know how they did that because to me it seems like, oh yeah, those are totally normal people, but they're doing impossible things.
yeah, exactly. I love that. I love how you could see them being real people, but also they're exaggerated and odd. So I don't know if how well you can see
Yeah,
in
so
here.
for this scene you have a king in a bathtub, right? And he's supposed to be
Right. And
discussing Navy matters with the naval
yes, and but
guy.
his knight that's in there trying to convince him to get out of the bathtub is wearing his full armor, right? He's wearing armor. He's in this ginormous bathtub. Yeah. They've got all the little figurines here and they're all doing different things. Like it's almost like they're alive doing different stuff.
All those little toys on the edge
Okay.
of the bathtub are all like armed and ready for battle, and there's ships in the
Yeah,
bathtub.
quite detailed. These ships are in the bathtub having battle in
Mhm.
here. And one of my favorite ones is, so he gets out and look at him. You see his little skinny legs. He's got hair on his legs. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it. His little hairs on his legs.
His ball
And the
peen.
way that,
Yeah.
yeah, his armor is dripping. He's wearing his little nundies. And just the shape of his clothing is just fantastic. He's got this big round armor on, right? The armor is out and exaggerated. And he's got the skinniest little legs. I love it so much. They're all wearing lots of makeup. So here's the queen. The queen is one of my favorites. So look at her dress. She's wearing this bodice, and the dress goes way out. She's got, puffy sleeves, a feather in her hair, and she's just fantastically dressed. Well, then she hops in the tub for lunch, right?
Right. And so her dress
Yep.
poofed out completely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she's had to stuff her dress inside of the tub. So she's in there, and then they're having lunch. And if you look at these little lunch items, there's tiny sheep on top of this cake. There's a castle, there's geese. The fruits have little geese on them, little swans. There's tiny people on this cake. I really wish this was better, that you could see it. Tiny people on the cake. There's fruits. Bread has little stuff on them, and this page is like pouring them drinks in this big tub. And the king is
this little boy manages somehow to tote everything up the stairs to the tub
up
and
this Yes. Yes, and you see him, it's just so funny. You see him, hauling everything out. Let me show you this next page, because I adore the way they drew her dress.
on. Now you still have that poofy cage part, but the rest of it sinks down and
It's
clings around.
wet, yeah. It's wet, so it's sucked into her legs, and so she just looks ridiculous. Ridiculously deflated, this dress, and she's all wet, and her, she's regal, of course, but everything is
So high.
soaking wet.
The little feather,
Yep.
I don't know where the feather is.
Oh, it's just flopped over. You can see it
okay.
just flopped over. And then you see this little boy. He's tiny little boy carrying all the food items out behind her.
Mhm.
I love it though. And this whole book is just like that. Everyone has these elaborate clothes and costumes. The colors are fantastic. Different times of day, you look out the window and the sun is up, or, whatever it is during the day. And it's just exaggerated tub costumes and trying to get the king out of the bathtub. But so she does Hecate Peg too, and I love Hecate Peg, right? But it's the same kind of art stuff where you could see these people, but also it's very stylized. But they also do this one, the little penguin's tail.
I haven't read that in years.
I love this book.
Well,
This
and
tiny penguin.
the penguin looks so dynamic. Like, look at his feet.
Yes, I love his.
As he's dancing. Impossible for a penguin to do that, but it looks natural here. How do they do it?
It's just so funny, and I just love the colors and how busy it is. I love the busyness, how they're all just looking at him, and how she uses look at this color, the color and the silhouettes. So this is the whole page, but doesn't it just convey the vastness?
Mountains and the sunrise or sunset, ripples of orange and yellow all on top of each other, and just a little silhouette of the penguins.
Yep, these little things. Yeah. And then this little penguin makes me think of my youngest child, but I love how she has them eating their little oranges.
Right. I had forgotten all about that.
Don't they look cute? And that's exactly how kids would eat the oranges. They look ridiculously adorable.
Man. Look, see, I want my little story to have like little duck feet like that. Human, obviously, with toes, but just kind of flat and adorable little duck feet.
Yeah. Anyway, I
But how do
love
you make
that.
it
Look at
happen?
him.
Because I can't even make a kid look angry at some Cheerios.
Dancing with the Goonie Birds. Yeah. Anyway, so I love that. Both of those styles. You know, they're different, but I do like that from her.
Yeah.
And then, okay, did I ever show you this book?
Yes. When you were here, I snuck it and I read it, and it's so pretty. It's more
Yeah.
cartoony than the others.
Yes, yes, it is. It's very tasteful though. I love this style. And I love the story too. This is for my middle boy.
Hmm.
This
Nobody
is what
likes
we
a
got.
goblin.
He's what we call our moon goblin. That's what he is. And so I thought this story was very cute for him.
Let's see, who wrote
Um,
the story?
um, Ben Hatke, I think is how you say his last name. You know, Ben Hatke. I don't know if you see him. But he's technically a cartoonist. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
right? Um, but this one I love because it's more pen scratchy. Obviously, so he uses the pen scratches to give it texture, but it's not so much that it's distracting.
So what is pen scratchy?
You know, like hatching to shadow stuff, you use the lines to create shadows, cross hatching.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Where you just draw everything in a line and then draw it the other direction to make it
Yeah.
darker.
So I don't know how well my camera is not picking it up all that great, but he uses that
Mm,
more like pen kind of look to it.
gotcha.
But I like how he uses the dark spaces and also the light spaces. It looks very
Um,
just well. And he does detail, like you see the mice, there's little mice holes, there's little snakes,
or
there's
statues or
yeah,
carvings.
there's statues,
Um,
there's stuff in the walls. You like this cute little
mhm.
bone king, you know. Um, and I like it because even the goblins are not done the same. All the goblins are different kinds of goblins,
Right.
different faces.
That one
Some of
has,
them are more defined.
uh-huh. That one looks kind of like an elephant. And a
Yeah, so some of them look like that. Some of them like have more facial features, but they're all different, and yet they're all goblins. So it's just very, I like the coloring. I like how he does all the details. It is cartoony, but it doesn't, I don't know, it's tasteful. I really like how it is. So
well,
this is
looking
one
at
of
it,
my
it's
favorite.
actually not a whole lot. Like most of it is
Mm-mm.
black with little splotches of picture on each
Yeah,
page.
some of it is, yeah. Some of it is, yeah.
Hmm. Maybe I should do the same
But
thing.
I like how it's very stylized.
Hmm.
The colors are really nice. I like the use of color and feature exaggeration. You know, there's big noses and big eyeballs and tiny little dragons. So I do, yeah, I like that one. We talked about Jan Brett. So we already talked about her. I like her attention to detail. She does a lot of the tiny little things. A lot of the story is about the tiny things, even on clothing. Um, there's little bees attached, the embroidery on the clothes, different things on the side, the word work. It's all a part of the story. So you have to, I think with Jan Brett, it's best if you have the book for a while because then you can go through and be like, oh my gosh, there's bees on all of this stuff, and how does that, it's all about the details and the stuff you can find. Not necessarily Easter eggs, but kind of.
Yeah.
Stephen Kellogg, of course. I
Ah,
love this book, but I also like his style. Anytime I see a book, I can tell that it was him. I'm like, oh, Stephen Kellogg, that's his book. He's very stylized, and he definitely has a look. But I love this story in particular. But
not loose.
yeah,
Mm.
the day the goose got loose. Yeah. But I like also how he's there's some of it is not even precise. There's a lot of lines, like there's not just one line to outline, it's several lines. Some of the less detailed characters have several lines to outline them.
Hmm.
So it's not like it's sloppy, but it kind of looks more like sketchish and more pen work and stuff of that sort. I like his colors. I like the exaggeration of faces. You can tell when people are upset, and you can tell when people are, just look at these faces.
They always have wide mouths.
How, yeah, or like what is it? The boy who was followed home with the hippopotamus
Mm-hmm.
that followed him home.
There was
And
also
I love, sorry, what?
there was also the one with the blue ox, Paul Bunyan.
The Paul Bunyan one. Yes, and the little goblins that are coming out of the woodwork and like grabbing people, and like their eyes are like, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I I like that you can tell it's his work, and I love how he does expressions and the mouths, the big eyes, and like it's very just interesting. I always thought his pancakes in the Paul Bunyan one always looked so good, the really big ones that are always like falling on people.
Yeah, and how they have to like butter the what
The
it's not
griddle, the griddle with skates.
they're playing like hockey or whatever on it.
Yeah, with the butter. Yes. So yeah, I like Stephen Kellogg quite a bit. Now, this one, did I show you this?
You showed
The
me a little.
Vanities.
Mm-hmm.
So I like how this one is very just what do you call it? It's not a montage, it's
Collage.
a collage, thank you. It's kind of more collagey. It's like they cut pictures out and then put them to make the characters. And I love how their hair is its own character. Their hairstyles are their own characters because the hair is like the main part of the story, right? So you have all these different kinds of people, and their hair is all this different kind of, there's like tons of stuff in these people's hair and their clothes.
What is his hair made out of? I see a ship. Is that a
There's a
lighthouse?
ship. Yep, there's a lighthouse, there's a bulldog, there's like a life raft and some stars and rope. There's a globe and some knots and a sword.
Mm. And that's describing him.
Yep, yep. It's just crazy. I don't know. We've got, her where she's got
Is that a monkey or a doll?
there's a Buddha, there's a bowl of rice, there's some oranges and grapes and all sorts of things. There's just I love that their hair is its own character.
Mm.
I mean, look at her. Look at her.
Yeah.
Isn't that? I just totally fascinated. When I saw this book, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it
Well, I don't think
because
I've ever seen any other picture where the hair was more defined than the face of the character because the faces
yeah.
aren't defined.
Well, it's this book is called The Vanities, okay? It's by Terrence Lawlor. And the hair is a Cinderella story, but the hair is the big thing. I've never had you read this.
No,
This
you.
is like one of my favorite Cinderella stories. So the Cinderella's name is Giselle, and she has the most beautiful hair in all the kingdom. Okay.
Okay.
And to become, so the king is stepping down from his throne, and to choose the next person to rule the kingdom, you have to have the most fabulous do. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, it's crazy. So her sisters, she has three sisters, and they're called the Vanities. Okay, that's what this book is called, The Vanities, right? And the three sisters are called the Vanities, and they make her do their hair, right? So this is them
Oh.
screaming one.
Wow.
Okay. Anyway, so um they get really upset that she gets to compete. But what she does, do you want to see what she does? Do you want to know?
I kind of do, yeah.
You want to know?
Sorry, guys, no spoilers for you. You'll have to read the book yourself.
Isn't that interesting? Okay. I love the story and I love the art.
So cool.
Another one.
Yes. Ah, that one is hilarious. Yes.
I love this book so much. Gladys the Magical Chicken. Look at her. She is so cute.
And I love how her eyes are like pointing backwards.
She looks derpy, but she's adorable.
But very
And then
proud with her little like feathers on her head and her round body.
her. See this thing.
Very happy
She's
chicken.
doing her little food dance. Another example of me I love this story. So this is the same guys who did The Dragons Love Tacos, which I also love.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dragons Love Taco guys. I love you. You're fantastic. But look at this. How he discovers he's
Mm-hmm.
good looking
Hair
in
and
the
muscles. And I love how ugly he was before, because he really was not.
it really was that. Look at this guy. Look at this thief. Isn't that fantastic?
Enormous beard.
Yeah. Crazy eyes. It's just all of it is fantastic. I don't know. I don't know how you can get much better than this. It's bright colored. The characters are very just vibrant and just crazy unique.
Mm.
I love that. Good story and good art. Lots of colors. Fantastic craziness. And I know we're gonna keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just give me a second. I need to go. Okay, go ahead. No, don't.
This one here.
Mhm. Seeds and trees.
I think Mom gave me this book. I like this one because look how pretty the contrast is
Ooh.
here. How it uses, I mean, it's wonderful art, but it uses colors a lot with the different kinds of themes. So you see this one that destroys, right?
Mhm.
And this one that makes things grow. The different kinds of seeds. And then you've got, look at this coloring. Just I love the different.
All those little glowing mushrooms, the butterfly.
Yeah. I like the colors a lot in this. And then you can kind of see the different kinds of, the people with the planting and the different kinds of trees.
They even have different shapes. Some of them
Yeah.
are more round. Huh.
Some are spiky, different colored. But yeah, that's another one that great story. Seeds and Trees. Illustrated by Kristen and Kevin Houdshell. Houdshell? 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 Houdshell. Anyway. Good book, good art. And then also, of course, I love these illustrated Harry Potter books.
Good.
I love them. Some of the later ones, like when we get into the fifth book, I think they changed illustrators midway.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure exactly which one. But look at this guy. Isn't that just, I don't know. Well, he does the different characters. You can just feel it. I mean, this isn't even a main character, and you can see it with my legs. But, Uncle Vernon, big bushy beard, whole thing. There was one of Draco Malfoy that I'm a big fan of. Oh, look at this thing. Look at that.
Very detailed. Diagonally.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I like how busy it looks.
Very topsy-turvy almost.
Okay, so look at this one of Draco.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah. Yep.
I love that.
And even the symbolism, because the measuring tape looks like a snake
Yes.
around him.
Yeah. So I love that too. One that I don't have the book for, but Brisk Grimley is fantastic. I found he does kind of darker kind of graphic novels so he does one. So okay, my favorite kind of Halloween story, American fable, is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. It's my favorite story. I listen to that all the time. But he did this little graphic novel for kids, and Brisk Grimley did the art for it. And it's fantastic because it's dark and very stylized. Lots of, I think, kind of like Corpse Bride-esque.
Oh, okay.
A little bit, not quite like that, but it's in the same vein where there's a lot of curling and a lot of
Like
that sort of,
almost.
yeah, spikies. It's very fascinating and I love it. I saw it at the library and I was like, that's getting checked out. So I checked it out and I was enjoying it immensely looking at all the art. But he also does other things like Edgar Allan Poe poems, I think, and a Frankenstein one. So yes, Brisk Grimley. Fantastic. Love that art.
So what makes good art as opposed to bad art?
I don't know. As you know, art is very subjective. Very
Well,
subjective. I I think I like certain colors. I have there are bright colors I like with Gladys the Magical Chicken, I like the brightness of certain things. I also find I like darker artwork. So richer colors. I I like illustrations where it helps with the word, like the world building. So with the Jan Brett part of the story itself isn't even what is written. It's in the pictures around. That's very intriguing to me. It doesn't necessarily have to be realistic, but I don't like things that have necessarily been dumbed down, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of board books, like you were explaining with the one with the shapes, like that doesn't even look like a ball. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of been dumbed down and then some texture thrown in to look clever.
Educational,
I
I guess.
yeah, maybe. And it just comes off kind of just bleh.
Half-hearted.
Yeah, it's just a dumbed down version. And I like to have something where you can ooh and ah over it. It really is intriguing to the eye. It really makes you want to stop and look and look and look every single time that you read the book. It's it's more fascinating the more times that you see it instead of not interesting anymore. I don't know. I don't know how to put a description on that. I'm sure somebody else would have a very short and sweet explanation for that, but I just don't. There's definitely styles that I prefer that seem to catch my attention a little bit more.
Well, let me ask you this then, because trying to illustrate my book, I've been kind of debating on this.
Mhm.
Should the illustrations mirror the words, or should the illustrations show a different story, or show like a different point of view?
Um,
Trying to think that they should show more, and I'll give an example of that, and then I want
okay.
your answer. So when I first wrote the story, the opening line was, "My chubby cheeks were first to know something at home was wrong." And I was envisioning, and I wasn't planning on doing the illustrations when I wrote that. I was envisioning this chubby little baby, and I wanted everyone to know he was chubby and he was just little, right? Well, send it to an editor, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That's weird." I took it out and I rewrote the beginning, but now I'm thinking, oh, actually, I never needed that because I'm doing the illustrations. I can cut those words out and I can just show that
Right.
instead.
You can show it. I
So,
don't know. I think there's something intriguing about I don't know. I don't know if we've kind of talked about this, but how um have the illustrations be more about how he's feeling, like the colors and the background be more about what he's feeling as opposed to the words. So you see him doing what the words say, but the background is going to give you more insight into his feeling about what is happening. So
mhm.
using the colors, different textures in the background, whether that's swirls or lightnings or just off color splatters or whatever it is, I think adds a lot of depth into the world you're creating and how he sees the world as opposed to just realistic things. I guess it kind of just depends on you.
Well, okay, let me say something. A lot of the books, well, I said that a lot of the illustrations I don't like are very like they look like a child could do them, which is
Right.
fine. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with having your kids illustrate one of your books. That's perfectly cool. That's cool. I would do that. But there was one that I read and I should have brought it to show, but it's called While We Can't Hug. And the whole premise of the story, on each page, there is a tortoise and there is a hedgehog. and there's the tortoise on one page and the hedgehog on the other, and they can't hug. They're too far apart, but they are best friends. So they have to find other ways of telling each other that they love each other. So, like tortoise does a little dance, and that makes hedgehog smile. And hedgehog does a funny face, and that makes tortoise laugh. And then one of them blows a kiss to the other one, and the other catches it and blows three back. And then they send letters, and this and that. The entire time, you can just see they are in the same, almost the same position, and you only see their profiles, except for one where hedgehog is jumping up to grab a kiss, and you see, because you see his chubby little belly and his nose is up, you can't even see his eyes, you can see the tip of his nose and his mouth smiling. And that's it. But in between them, like the kisses are little hearts, little watercolor hearts that are floating by, and they through rain and shine. And then the rain is just amazing because it's kind of like a pale bluish background, and then somehow they did watercolors with like black and gray and green and blue in these huge clouds that are so amazing. They're impressive, and I stare at them every time. But even that drew me in completely, even though the drawings probably weren't done by a professional. So,
Right.
I don't know. What's the magic sauce?
No, I don't know. Like I said, it's very subjective. It's really hard to get, I don't know. If you're not a professional, I would say it's probably a little bit more difficult to get the kind of feel that you're going for. But you see that in writing too. How do you know that you've got the right feel? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of techniques, there's a lot of colors, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I don't know if there's a right answer.
Well, darn.
I don't have the answer for you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well,
We need
my friend. We might have to have 3 or 4 so we can figure out the answer.
I think it would be really cool if you could get some actual, like, professional illustrators
I have
to
one.
maybe.
I have
Yeah.
one. I haven't posted your episode yet, but yeah, I have one.
I would get into that because maybe they have the magical sauce. Maybe they know. I would love to talk to some of these people. Like the Audrey and Dawn Wood. I'm very fascinated to see, because they have different styles of things. And why they pick certain styles for their books.
Yeah.
I am fascinated to kind of see that. And then also, if watching, seeing different artists even online, like little things about on Instagram or whatever, it's really, some of these artists are very fascinating. I love to see how they talk about their progression from, they started out one way, and then if you go and you can kind of watch their transformation into something else, whether it's, they got new tools, some of them are like, oh, hey, I'm trying new programs. I took a different class and now I'm trying a new method or whatever it is. It is interesting to see the progression of artists and how they change over time. So it'll be fascinating to see how you start now.
Yeah.
And then give it a couple of years and then see where you're at.
Well, see, I go into art stores and I'm always like, man, I wish I could be an artist and have all these cool, colorful things and an easel and be like just so cool and busy all the time and have my projects just splayed out everywhere. And
no, that's why I can't go into Michael's. If I go into Michael's, I see the aisles of yarn.
And it just
And then I have to touch all of them. And I have to look, I'm always like, it's like Pokemon, gotta catch them all. But I'm like, I need all the colors. And it's just, it's not, I need it. And then I go into the painting aisle, right? I'm not even working on a project. And I'm like, I need all the colors. Look at all these paintbrushes I must have. It's like, no, no, stop, stop. But
Oh,
something about all those colors. Even I don't paint my nails. I don't paint my toenails, right? But when I go and they have all of the colors lined up, bad. That's bad.
makeup. I barely wear makeup. Mostly when I'm doing this podcast, I put some on. And you go into those shiny makeup aisles and you're like, look at the turquoise eyeliner. It's so
Right?
pretty. Look at that
Yeah.
big. Oh my goodness, I've never seen that shade of pink. I need it.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's a whole color thing. I don't know. I don't know if that's normal human condition to be obsessed with all the colors, but I'm obsessed with all the colors and all the textures. I can't have all the yarn, but I want it, and I can't have all the paint, but I want it, and all the ink, and all. It's bad. I can't go to my
Oh my gosh. And their ink colors.
right.
Moss green, there's emerald green, there's sea green, there's blue green, there's gray green. There's so many, and it makes me so
Want
sad.
them all.
Yeah.
If- Yeah, you want them all. And it would just even be to smear them on one piece of paper. I just want to see all the colors.
You just need to rent them out.
I just, oh God. Uh,
Thank you for this interview. It was a lot of fun. And listeners, comment below with your favorite illustrator.
oh
And
yeah, that'll be fascinating.
yes, that'll be interesting to see. And if there's an illustrator, if you are an illustrator or a writer and you want me to interview you, comment below. Find me on Instagram, send me a message. Let's chat.
Do it. We need the magic sauce. Thank you.
Oh, okay. See you later, guys. Happy writing.
All
Bye.
right.